Hey everyone, Paul Sam. Welcome to part 2 of our Nunu 124th Audi Quattro video build. So we've got parts, what would normally be 2 and 3 condensed into one part, basically part 2. It's confusing, isn't it? It's quite a simple kit this. I don't think it warrants 2 separate parts, so I kind of condensed it all into one. So I haven't hung around on some of the parts that you see all the time. You don't need to see me cutting off and cleaning off every part. And I condense that down normally anyway. So today it's a little bit more condensed. And when we get to like the seat belts, you've seen me do those before. I've got a whole video covering those. So I'm going to leave the link to that in the description below. So if you want to see the seat belts made in full, it's on the Subaru Techniques build. You can go to that, have a look, and follow that properly on there. So we condensed it right down. Saved us a bit of a part and a bit of work. It's about 8 hours of footage here. Condensed to, I think it's 32 minutes in total. So not too bad at all. So if anything's missing, you don't understand, just ask in the comments and I'll answer it as good as I can. Different camera angle today on the intro as well. I think it needs a little bit of tweaking. I think it needs to come down a little bit. But this way, my tripod stays up constantly. I don't have to keep moving it around. It just stays behind the Mac at the back there. So let me know what you think about the camera angle as well. I think it needs to come down just a touch. Rather than that will be alright. Right then, let's jump in with the build. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos will always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. Okay, so straight in with our running gear. We're going to try and combine the running gear build and all the interior in one video today. We've got a lot to get through, but I don't think it warranted 2 separate videos. So like I said, we're going to combine it and get it all condensed. So any bits we can skip past, we'll move on past and condense it to a bit more of a shorter thing. You've seen me do a lot of the techniques before, so we're not going to dwell on things too much. So we're going to cut off all those parts, get them all cleaned up and get them all mounted for primer. So using our Tamiya side cutters, cut them away from the sprues cleanly, and then we'll clean them up with the UMP Ultimate Sanders. And like I say, get them mounted and get them prepped, ready for primer. We've got a lot of parts to cut off and clean up, so make sure you keep track of them. I tend to cut all the running gear off first, get them all into one place, and then cut all the interior parts off. And again, keep them all separated, keep track of what you need. If any parts you don't need right now, like this antenna, I cut it off, leaving a piece of the sprue on, and just pop it back in the box. That way you don't lose the smaller part, and you should be able to locate it later on. We've got a 400 customizable Ultimate Sander here, cut to size. I'm just going to remove all the sprue gates on the chassis and all the flat-sided parts. Don't be using your sponges on this. You use your thinny stick should you wish, but the customizables, being the flat-sided sander that they are ideal for this. And again, you don't need a lot of pressure. Just go around, move any of the sprue gates, sprue areas, any seam lines that don't need to be there, or any corners that need rounding off a little bit too. Again, smaller parts, just a gentle sand, and hit it with the buffer and then the polisher to get it back to nice, clean, shiny plastic. And we'll go around, systematically go through all the parts using different sanders and clean them all up. Again, not using a customizer this time, using a thinny sponge. Sorry, a thinny stick, my bad. Just to clean up these parts. So we don't mind a little bit of flex. Either or will do. And then, of course, we finish it off with the buffer and get it back to nice, clean, shiny plastic. Any rounder parts we'll use the sponges on, but for the most part we'll use the flat edge, thinny or customizable. Now we're going to assemble the roll cage. I normally like to pop these on the chassis first, on the interior, but this piece wasn't playing ball. I tried gluing it in off the model and it was having absolutely none of it. So I thought I'll do it the usual way, we'll get both sides in place, then pop it in, and that worked a lot better. So we just get one side in place, hold it, get this piece in position, and then hit it with our Tamiya EMA glued mix. Give it a second to melt the plastic, And then we can move on to the other side, get that in position into the casing holes. Line up the part we glued onto the side, push them together, and again, hit them with the glue. Let the glue do the work, melt the plastic, a little bit of pressure, and that'll hold it perfectly in place. With the then come with the cross brace, refer to instructions, make sure you get the right way around. And again, we're going to get the top piece in place, hold it, hit it with a little bit of glue. Don't need a lot of the glue, just enough to go all the way around with capillary action. And then push it down, line up the back part. Once it's in, push it in place, and again, hit it with the glue. Works really quick, nice fast-acting glue, especially with the EMA melt weld mix that we did on a video previously. I've got a video showing how I do this, very simple. And then we come in with the front piece. Again, make sure you just spread enough to get the part in. Get the right way orientated, and then a little bit of extra thin. And there we go, we're in place. Leave that to dry. It's not attached to the tub, so we can take it off whenever we want. Right, so just give it a bit of pressure, let it sit and dry, and then as you can see, we've got everything mounted up and ready for primer. So we're going with white primer first. We've got the Tamiya spray can primer, which has been decanted. Thinned about 20%, up through the UMP apex, 18 psi, and we're going to put 2 or 3 light coats down over all the parts to give them a nice primer base. So take your time, don't hose it on, especially white. Obviously we can see the white on the black plastic, so you can see how well it covers, but it does take a little bit of care. Any white, red, yellows, they're a very thin, opaque paint, so they do take building up a little bit more. So just take your time, no rush. Just build it all up. Like so. Probably take you a couple of light coats to do this. I'll probably say 3. So I tend to put a coat down as heavy as this second kind of coat here. Put it to one side, work on the other part, come back when it's dried, and then put another coat on. Never try and hose it all in one go. It'll just end in catastrophe. The paint will separate, it'll pool away from the edges, and it doesn't look good and doesn't do the best job at all. So patience is key here, and it will ultimately give you the best painted finish at the end. Like I say, put the part down, let that piece dry, move on to the next one, and just keep building the coat up so you've got nice even coverage, all the black is hidden, and you've got a nice white primer base. Now, this white primer, it's a good colour, just like the UMP. You could leave it as your white base if you wish to. You won't get the glossy finish you'll get after TS26, but it does give a nice white base colour. For me, I always like to put the base colour down. Obviously, it matches the exterior of the car as well. So I will also be putting some TS26 down on this, probably the next day when it's fully cured. For all the black prime parts, we're going to use Mr. Servicer 1500 black. This has been thinned about 60% with Mr. Hobby leveling thinner. And again, through the 0.35 apex, 18 psi. And again, exactly the same technique. We're just going to go around, put a couple of light coats down everywhere, making sure we're thorough. We get all the little recesses and cavities and what have you. And again, because you're spraying black on black, nice light coats, spray a part, put it down, pick up another one. By the time you've worked your way around all the parts, it'll be near enough dry, especially within a warmer atmosphere, temperature. By the time you come back around, you can put your second coat down. So nice and easy to do. It's a nice primer. It's not my favourite, but as I've said many times, I am more and more moving over to lacquer primers. I'll be glad if Tamiya eventually ever releases a black primer. That'd be very nice. Why they don't currently, I don't know. Bit strange, but it'd be nice to see. Like I say, a couple of light coats on all these parts, nice bit of primer, and it gives us a good base for our paint that's coming up in a minute. If you're in the chat, let me know. Let's see, what kind of question we can have today? We're doing Group B rally cars. So, what is your favourite non-Group B rally car? If you're a rally car fan, motorsport fan, what is your favourite non-Group B? So anything that isn't Group B, what is your favourite one? Let me know. For me, probably got to be the Escort Cosworth. I'd say Motto Escort. They're still going today, being rallied. Those things are everywhere. But I think the Escort Cosworth, especially the Michelin Pilot scheme, is probably one of the most iconic ones for me. So we've got TS26, Tamiya spray can, again decanted, thin 60%, 70% with Tamiya lacquer thinner with retarder, 0.35 apex, 18 psi, and exactly the same as we did the primer. A couple of light coats down, building it up with a slightly heavier coat at the end, and that will give us a nice glossy white interior then that matches the exterior. So we're not hosing it on, we don't want to get loads of runs. If you hose it on, it will pull away from the edges, it will look awful. Just put enough down, and like I say, put the part down, work on the other parts. By the time you come back around, you'll all be done. So the seats I'm going to do Zero Paint's textured black. So this is a textured paint. So we're going to cut a couple of coats down to begin with. Always decant out these bowls with pipettes, or it can go down the edge, causes problems with the lid, which can cause issues with your paint drying out. Now this is a textured paint, so we'll put through the 0.35 apex, or about 24 psi. I'm just going to put a light coat down to begin with, and I'll put another light coat down on afterwards. And that gets a bit of texture on it, but also gets the coverage. Then at the very end, I'll come well away from the model, as you can see, and kind of open the airbrush up quite a bit here. And what I'm doing is I'm misting on the paint, and that causes it to dry mid-air, land on the seating. I think it gives it a little bit more texture. Not the correct way it should be used, but I find it works very well. Smaller parts, we're going to spray in Tamiya TS17. Again, decanted out the spray can. Using a lot of these rather than LPs in a minute because I've got lots of them. I stocked up on TS sprays a long time ago. So just going through, using them up what I've got. It's a good colour. And enough anything that's actually just plain silver, we're going to paint in this. And then we'll use a titanium silver mix for the brakes and the exhaust in a little bit. So again, nice light coats. We're through the 0.2mm apex, 18 psi. And then on to the exhaust, which you're doing in a mix of LP. I completely forget the colours. It's silver and gold. I completely forget the colours. I do apologise. Couple of light coats. It's like a goldy silver colour it gives us, just to kind of imitating a titanium goldish colour. And again, same on the brake disc. We have PE for these. So this is more for the caliper, but I actually changed the colour later on anyway, for what I thought was a better suitable colour for this. But we painted them nonetheless. And then the fire extinguisher, this was painted in the white primer, and then we got some Mr. Colour red. I'm just going to put a couple of coats down until we get a nice glossy red finish. There we go. Mr. Colour paints do spray really nice. They do stink. I think they smell a lot worse than the Tamiya TS and LPs, but each their own. Now, a sole point with this kit is that it's a Group E rally car shown on a gravel stage and comes with slick tyres. So I'm not having that one. There are aftermarket wheels out there, but being on a bit of a budget at the minute, I didn't want to go and buy them. So I've got some road wheels, road tyres out my spares box. I think they're from a Nissan Skyline. While they're technically not correct, they're better than the slicks. They fit perfectly over the wheel, although the rim at the back needs trimming, which we'll do in a bit. So I'm just de-seaming them now. I've got an RC tyre de-seaming tool somebody sent me a long time ago. I think it was, let me see who it was now. It was, oh my God, it was Jackie's husband. I've had a brain fart and completely forgot your name. I apologise, but he sent me as a very kind gift. Oh my God, it's Stephen's surname. Oh my life, I have forgotten your name. I do apologise, buddy. I believe it's the same as your cuticle remover. So it will remove the tyre seam nice and easily. And because the tyres don't fit over the rims, they're a little bit wider, I'm cutting the edge of the rim off at the back, so it slides over perfectly. So just using our Tamiya cutters, we'll get in there, trim off the excess. It's Kevin, isn't it? It's Kevin Stevens. I'm pretty sure it is. It's got to be Kevin. And I'm up it. Really am. Sorry, Kevin. I completely forgot, mate. What a plonker I am. Thank you, buddy. I'm sorry I forgot. There's so many ISM members. I forget names all the time. I remember most, but every now and then one of you slips my mind. And yes, thank you, Kevin. Very handy tool. I do use it quite often, to be honest. But I do believe a cuticle remover is pretty much the same tool. So with the tyres on, we're going to put a wash into our freshly painted wheels. This is about 24 hours later. Tamiya panel liner wash, which is enamel over lacquer, so perfectly safe to use. I'm just going to fill in all these recessed areas, which is quite a bit on these, to be honest. It does hold quite a nice bit of wash, so it gives a nice bit of depth to the wheel. And just go around. So I have thinned this wash a little bit with some Santador. So it's quite thin. I'm just going to go around. We'll let that dry. Come in later on with our cotton bud with some Santador odorless mineral spirit on it. And remove all the excess and leave a nice wash behind. We've got some decals now, so we're using the kit decals now. If you remember last time we used the Reggie decals for the exterior livery. On this one, we're going to use the kit decals because we need the instrument panels and the dashboard markings. So they're off. The BMX decals are pretty good, not too bad at all. So we've got the dashboard instruments here, there's some instruments to the left, and the rally computer calculator thingamabob to go over on the right hand side as well. Off camera I did also add some detail to the buttons and switch gear. Added some red and white paint to them. Didn't get it on camera unfortunately, but I did do it and you can see it a little bit later on. Get the decals in place, remove all the excess moisture, hit it with UMP strong decal solution and just leave them be. Let them soak and settle into the recesses themselves nice and easily. As you can see, there's the decal solution there. With our water brush, or water pen, sorry, we just apply it. We're not going back over it. We're just going to put it on, let it soak, and let the decal solution do its work and get all these dials and fixtures snugged down into their recessed areas, like so. Simple, quick and easy to do. I went straight to the nuclear option, the strongest of the solutions, because I knew it would need it. Same on the seats. We're going to get the Recaro decals on there. You can see the texture a little bit there. You need a light to catch it a bit, but they are nicely textured. I'm on the fence to whether the micro ballooning looks better, and I really don't know if they're better off together combined, or if this is enough to give the texture of the fabric of the seat. Now the back of these seats would have been, I think it's carbon composite or Kevlar composite, fiberglass, whatever it's called. You don't get the decals in the kit, which is a real shame. And I did plan to do it, and before I knew it, I had the seatbelt on, and I completely forgot, and yeah, we were too late to add it, and completely slipped my mind. Got some Vallejo model colour black now, and we're going to mix that with a little drop of water, like so, and then we're going to paint up our suspension springs. These are the colours it calls out for, so a bit of hand brushing with our Winsor Newton Series 7, I think it's a number 1 brush, or it's a 0, it might be 0 actually. And again, to put a light coat on. I'm not trying to get it all in one go, but if you do, you do. If not, we can come back for a second coat. And the same for the back on the transmission. Do apologise, my camera. It is still playing up a little bit, but for the most part, it does work. Just every now and then it goes a bit skew-iffy. It doesn't seem to like this mid-focus range. So we've got a few shots in a bit that are zoomed right out and zoomed right in because it started to play up doing this. 90% of the time it's fine, just sometimes it has a hissy fit and it won't focus. It starts doing this in-out focus malarkey. Calipers, like I said, I was going to keep them the silver colour originally, and I thought, no, I'm going to do them in a slightly darker colour for a little bit of interest. So I did it in Mr. Colour Burn Time, which I think is C61. I would normally use the LP61, but I've run out, so I couldn't use that. So straight into this. Lacquer paint over lacquer, as long as you brush it on quite thick. I don't mean pour it on, but you're not going over it repeatedly. It'll go on just fine. And if you want to, you could always add a drop of lacquer thinner retarder in there to help along with the paint. And yeah, it's nice every now and then to get the paintbrush out and just sit there and brush paint rather than airbrushing every single item. It's quite nice and do. I think cathartic is the word. Quite nice to get back to basics. And again, the centre we're going to paint in black. So we've got our model colour black back again. I'm just going to carefully hold the brush and spin the disc. Like so. And then we get the centre. Job is good. Now the beauty of using acrylics over lacquer is you can wipe off any excess literally. If you go a little bit too far, we can get a sharp on the pointed cotton buds or a cocktail stick, and we can remove any excess paint we don't require. Interior, we've got some PE parts for interior. Sadly, in the whole PE part, the driver's footrest is in photo etch, which is a bit crazy to be honest. So we're going to paint this in silver. So this is Vallejo Model Air silver, straight out the bottle. Put a couple of coats of that on there. And again, putting acrylic over lacquer, you can wipe off any excess. And here we are getting our panel line wash off the wheels. So we're a little bit of Winsor Newton Sansador odorless mineral spirit on a cotton bud. I'm just going to go around and remove all the excess from that wheel. And it gives us a nice bit of depth, shows all the markings off, and then we can repeat that for every individual wheel. So apparently these wheels are the wrong size. Apparently these are too big. They should be 16 inch and these are 17. There are a set out there. It didn't really bother me enough to spend 20 odd pounds on a set of wheels, so I'm happy to settle for these. Bit of CA glue, we've got a driver's footrest, co-pilot's footrest to pop in place. So it needed bending at the top, we used our Tamiya bending pliers. Bent it, popped it in place. Bit of CA glue does the job just fine. And then there's a pad / matte aluminium for the driver as well. So the kit plastic part's there by my wrist on the left. And this part just needs bending to fit that to sit on top. Why you couldn't just replace it and pop this in, don't know, but it calls for you to glue it in place, so we're going to do that like so. Then we can drop it on the bench and re-glue it again. And then once it's in, a couple of dabs of CA glue where it goes. There's a couple of cater points at the top. Push it in, and there we go, job done. Now we've got all the parts painted up, ready to go. These just need a wash, but we'll do the wash once they're all in place, because I found adding the wash before you handle the parts, the wash can make the paint more fragile. I've had it wear off in the past, so I like to get all the parts in place, then add a wash. I find it works a bit better. Exhaust attaches to the transmission, so follow the instructions. A couple of locating points on there, like so. So dab of CA glue in place. If you get any excess CA glue, you can get a pointed cotton bud from Tamiya. These are luxury item, but invaluable in my opinion. Then again, a couple of dabs of CA glue in place to hold the four-wheel drive transmission in place. Still using the Loctite pen, although it has changed its name now. It is no longer a perfect pen. I'm just grabbing it because I forget the name now. It is now called Super Glue Creative. So it's changed now. It's a purpley red label on the back. Same pen, same shape, but you now get 4 grams of CA glue instead of 3, and they charge you about another £1.50 more. So a bit more expensive, but it's a very, very good glue, and I'm prepared to pay the extra cost because I like the consistency of it. I like the applicator. It doesn't go off. I've not had a single pen go off on me yet. So it's worth the money. You can get them on Amazon. And there's a link in the list of products. And if not, if you just look for Super Glue Creative Loctite, I'm sure you'll find a little pen on Amazon. So gluing the transmission and exhaust in place. We then come in with our steering rack on our front suspension struts. That just slots through the transmission like so. There we go, it just clicks in place. So they're in situ in their holes at the top, because obviously the steering wheel moves. Then get the subframe all lined up in place. Couple of dabs of CA glue there to hold it. Get everything lined up. So you've got all the locating points and 2 struts. Once they're in, we can push it all fully home, making sure everything is lined up correctly and pushed fully in place. That's the front one. Then the back one, which I've actually forgotten to put the suspension in, but it worked out well because it helped me line it up a bit better. So again, a couple of dabs of CA glue, line it all up, push it all fully home, make sure it's all straight. And then we've got a couple of what would you call these? Protection panels? I forget what they're called now. Sump guard, etc. They go in place. Now, I did call out to paint these in a very strange, I'm pretty sure it said blue. Bit of a weird colour. I forget what it was now. But I decided to do black. So we've gone with black. There's the front one. Differential guard on the back now as well. Obviously, these cars take a lot of punishment. So, yeah. Pop these in place. They're glued in. And then we've got our rear suspension struts in there as well. They are handed, so make sure you get them the right way. Line them up. Bit of glue. Once we've done both sides, we get our poly caps. 4 poly caps required. 1 in each one. Remember, don't glue these in, just push these home. These will hold your wheels in place. So just line it up. Push it in. There we go. Some glue around the edge because we've got to put our brake hub disc assembly on. Now again, these are handed, front, back and each side, so make sure you get it the right way. Keep referring to instructions, and there are locating lugs on each one, so you can hopefully get it in the right place. And then repeat for all the others. Just a little bit of dab of glue, keep it on the edge, keep it away from the centre where the spoke of the wheel, not the spoke, but the locator lug of the wheel goes through. And again, make sure you got the right disc, make sure it's facing the right way, orientated correctly. Push it home, make sure it's all straight, and there we go. Repeat that for the front ones. Get all the discs in place. We've got the PE in place here. Again, I did catch it on camera, lost the footage, I'm not sure what happened. I've got a feeling I forgot to hit record, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it wasn't my fault. I'm going to blame Alan. Alan's getting the blame for this one. Don't know why. I'm just going to blame Alan. We'll put the photo etch discs on. So they just literally come off the photo etch fret. A couple of dabs of CA glue glued in place. I'm going to give them a panel line wash. Do apologise about the camera going out of focus again. Becoming a bit of a pain, this. And then we'll leave that to dry. And again, as we did with the wheels, remove the excess with some Sansador later on, like so. So we leave it for about 40 minutes, half hour, 40 minutes, depends on the heat, time of year, etc. It's enamel based, so it does take a little bit of time to dry, but it's a good wash. Does leave a nice level of detail behind. You can thin it, you can mix it with the other colours to get different tones. Very handy, versatile wash. And again, we go around and remove all the wash off all these parts underneath as well. Not the most detail orientated car underneath and inside. You could probably go mad scratch building it by all means. I'm building out the box this time, but I'm sure you could have plenty of detail should you wish. You could weather it, etc. Pushing the wheels in place, just make sure they go all the way in the way they should go. If you're unsure, take it back off gently, push it home, and there we go. There's all the wheels in place. Steering works. There's a lot of towing on the front wheels. Whether that's right, I don't know. We'll find out when we get the body on. But there is an awful lot of it. So hopefully we haven't misassembled something there. I can't see how we could, but you never know. Onto the interior now, where we left off before. We're getting our accelerator, brake and clutch assembly in place. A little dab of CA glue holds it in safely. And then our sequential shifter, again, glued in place. Pushed home. These were painted in silver and detail painted with the black model colour we were using earlier on. Handbrake lever will go in after this as well. Getting our fire extinguisher in place. Again, you could go mad in the interior, you could have all the wiring, all the hoses, everything. We're doing an out-the-box build with this one, bar the decals. Just a nice simple build of a car that I really like. Seat belts, we're done here. I have a whole video covering these. I'll put it in the description of the video. So I'm not going to waste 10-15 minutes time going through it all when I have a much more in-depth video showing assembly. So that's that done. I'll put the link in the description. If you want to watch that, it's on the Subaru build series. You can have a look at that instead. Mounting the seats, we put a generous amount of CA glue on the seat mounting points, like so. Now, I didn't use the seatbelt kit that came with the detail upset. I used my own Studio 27, top studio one. because I much prefer the fittings and its wider belts. They're 3mm instead of 2mm. I think it'd look a little bit more realistic. So I'm just going to trim off any excess and glue this in place. And again, you could go to town on these belts and get all the mounting parts in place. But for me, for what little you can see through the side of the car, this is perfectly adequate. It does add a nice level of detail to the kit. Much better than using the decals. Roll cage, now we're going to have to get this mounted in and feed all those ribbons through. Left a good length on each one because I'm completely unsure just how much we'll need. The ribbon I buy in 50-meter length, so we're not going to waste this. This can be cut off and any excess put back in our seatbelt box for later on. Got a couple of dabs of CA glue in every little hole. And then we can mount our roll cage in place. I'm zoomed in a little bit too much here, I do apologise. So we're just going to try and feed the belt material through as good as we can to get it out of the way. Then we can come over the top, over the seats, line it up with the locator holes. Like I say, I'm zoomed in a little bit, do apologise. And there we go. Seat belts then have the fixing points attached to the end. Again, you can watch it in the video linked in the description. And a little dab of CA glue just secures that on the back. Like so. And we add a little bit of slack here and there. That's them done. The dashboard literally slots in place on the roll cage. Literally holds itself in place. So a bit of careful persuasion will push you through. And there we go. That's in place, looking good. Like I say, not the most detailed cockpit. You could go to town with this thing and go absolutely crazy with it. But for out of the box build, not too bad. And this is why I said, not really worth making two videos, one on a transmission, one on interior. There's not enough to cover. So I decided to do the one. We've got some intake, what am I going to call them? Hoses, I suppose we'll call them, in place. We've also got the spare wheel in there. We've made a makeshift strap out of that just by crossing over some ribbon. And there we go. There's our interior done. Happy with that. Like I say, pretty basic out the box build, but nice kit nonetheless. If you want to go to town and add a load of detail, by all means, you can do that. For me, this time round, we're going to do out the box. Maybe at a later date with some details set to come out, different ones. We're looking to build another one. Getting the cockpit tub on the chassis, a few dabs of the Loctite glue, glue it in place, hold it for a second, and there we go. We're all in place now. We're ready for part 3, where we need to do all the lights, all the grills, wheel, mud flaps, all the glass. We've got to polish that body up as well. So we'll be back to that very, very soon. But this is looking all right. Not too bad. Quite happy with it. And there we go. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, not too bad. Happy how it's turned out. Like I said, you can add a lot more detail to this should you wish, but we're going without the box, well, the decals, and it's alright, it looks alright to me. Quite happy with it. With this part done now, part 3 we can move on to the bodywork. We've got quite a bit of work to do on that, because our clear coat didn't come out the best with the dehydrator, so we've got quite a bit of polishing to do. But we've got that, the glass work, the lights, the grills, some PE parts, exterior parts to do as well. So we're going to continue with this build and get this one done and off the bench. Then we go back to the Lamborghini Countach, and I've got a new build I'm going to start that a few of you requested over the years that I'm going to get to. This car, I do apologise, but it is something we're going to do, and hopefully you'll find it interesting and useful to watch as well. I'm looking forward to it. It should be quite good fun. The F-51 Mustang is still there. That will get built just as and when I feel like working on it. The Imperial Knight, not sure on that one. Really not enjoying building that, but we'll keep hold of it and we'll see how we feel a bit further down the line. But yeah, car builds are what I do, what I enjoy most, and I know a lot of you watching do as well, so that's what we'll be sticking with for the near future. So there we go. If you wish to support my video content, you can do so using the Patreon me link in the description down below. There's also a PayPal me link as well. You've also got ISM Facebook page and forum you can go and visit for free, all free to go and use. The forum sign up for Facebook. We've got a near 20,000 user Facebook group. you can come and join us over there. Check out umpretail.com and get a lot of the products I use in my videos. And of course, check out my Paul ISM Facebook page, where all my personal modelling work is shared. And Live the Bench page, the Off Air Hangout group, and the group build page as well. There we are. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, hit the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos. I'll catch you in part 3 very soon. You enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.